This is our organization, Fondazione Don Carlo Gnocchi Onlus. Our organization is a network of rehabilitation centers and care institutions. It was founded in 1952 by Don Carlo Gnocchi, who was an Italian priest who is now considered one of the fathers of the concepts of rehabilitation and social integration and disability policy in Italy. The foundation is quite big. It employs over 5,000 people. It runs 28 centers in 9 regions of Italy, as you can see in the map. Overall, it takes care of people with disability of any age or any pathology. It includes rehabilitation hospitals with over 3,000 beds, or long-term care units, especially for elderly people with severe disabilities. And it serves about 9,000 clients every day throughout all the country. So this is the whole foundation. Our foundation has also some activities in developing countries. These activities are usually not operating directly care facilities, but giving technical support to other organizations for establishing rehabilitation and care facilities. We work in a department that is called in Italian Polo Tecnologico, and we say in English the Biomedical Research Department. Within this department we have some thematic sectors of research. I will speak about them later. Then we have activities aimed at transferring the results of this research into industry in terms of new products, or into the clinics in terms of new protocols or way of working. In this slide, you can see the 6 areas of technological research we have in our department. We have one area related to bioengineering applied to the neuromotor system, another area about bioengineering applied to the cardiorespiratory system, a third area about biophysics, medical imaging and nanomedicine, a fourth area about analysis of biosignals, a fifth area about ergonomics and labor medicine, and the last but not the least, not the less important, the area of assistive technology, which is my specific responsibility. Now I'm going to speak, of course, of my area, of my research team. We deal with assistive technology in a quite wide sense, including development of products, studies about the implementation of assistive technology in daily life, in rehabilitation treatment, or also socioeconomic studies related with this topic. This is our team as it is composed today. It's myself, I'm an engineer as a background. Then I have other 2 colleagues, Valerio and Lucia, who are sitting with me now. They are biomedical engineers. Then we have 2 software engineers. One is Andrea and the other is Matteo. Then we have Sabrina, that everybody in Europe knows, especially in the ETNA Consortium. And then we have a physiotherapist with a long record of experience in the assistive technology. This is the core team, but depending on the project, the team is often enlarged to researchers or clinicians or technicians or other departments of our foundation, or sometimes also of external institutions. So now I'm going to tell you a kind of list of projects we are involved in. Maybe this list can be a little bit boring now, but then I will pick up some projects and tell you some specific results that may be of interest for the ETNA environment. So one group of projects is about information systems. As you already know, we have developed and we are running the national Italian portal on assistive technology, and we are leading the European network on assistive technology. But we also have we are also involved in an external circle of worldwide cooperation in assistive technology information that we call the International Alliance of Assistive Technology Information Providers. And then, of course, we are involved in the ETNA. I don't need to explain you what ETNA is. Then we have another group of projects that are related to socio-economic issues in assistive technology. We have one project run on behalf of the Ministry of Health, of the national Italian Ministry of Health, and the objective is the development of tools supporting quality and appropriateness of the public assistive technology service delivery system. We have another research, again funded by the Italian Ministry of Health, about the economics of the public assistive technology service delivery system. Then we have just completed a project for the Ministry of Labor about redesign of work sites for people with disabilities based on risk analysis. So these are the projects we call in the socio-economic area of assistive technology. Let's go on. Then we have another group of projects about the implementation of assistive technology within rehabilitation programs. We have two themes of research. One is what we call the technology assessment. This is related to methods and tools for cost-outcome analysis in assistive technology. And the other is the collaboration to scientific networks, such as the Association for the Advancement of Assistive Technology in Europe, the EDIN, the Design for All and the Accessibility Network, and GLIC, which is the National Working Group of Assistive Technology Assessment Centers. Then we have another theme about smart home technologies. This theme is twofold. On the one hand, we work on the implementation of home automation technologies for better independent, safety and care sustainability of elderly people and persons with disabilities. This has to do with finding out what technologies are most appropriate, how the technological setup can be optimized for independent safety and care sustainability. And the other aspect is how to include this kind of technology into protocols for user education to independent living within rehabilitation programs. In other words, how to transfer these concepts into the daily rehabilitation practice. Let's go on. Then we have some partnership in national research and development projects. Currently, we are involved in two national projects. One is called ACUBE, that means 3A with a cube, ambient aware assistance. And this project has to do with advanced integrated infrastructures for intelligent monitoring in nursing homes. And then we have another project about advanced learning environment for university students. This project is aimed at developing learning environments that are accessible to everybody, including students with disabilities. Let's go on. Then we have partnerships in international research and development projects. Currently, we are involved in two European thematic projects. One is the development of a robotic system for independent living for the elderly, and another is about language technology to be applied to the ETNA portal. Then the last of the list, we are also involved in a program of postgraduate education in assistive technology. Every year we run a university course in agreement with one university of Milano that gives a certificate of assistive technology practitioners to people with a previous clinical background, such as occupational therapist, speech therapist, educators, medical doctors, and so on. Then we also serve as a support to the Assistive Technology Center of our foundation, where we take care of the smart home and help the therapist in the individual assistive technology assessment when they have to do with advanced technologies. And finally, we coordinate a network of assistive technology centers throughout Italy that is run by our foundation. So now you have the complete picture of our activities. Now I'm going to tell some more words on some of these projects, just to give some ideas of what kind of expertise, of competence we have, and we can make available also within the ETNA network. First of all, I want to inform about the International Alliance of Assistive Technology Information Providers. This is a free association that includes all the Eastern partners, but also partners, not non-European partners, that are providers of information, like, for example, the National American Database of Assistive Technology, Able Data, the Brazilian Portal of Assistive Technology, the Australian portal. This association has a meeting every year, and of course the objective is similar to the one of ISTIN, just to discuss common problems that we have in this business of collecting and disseminating information on assistive technology. Currently the chair of this alliance is rotating, and for this year the chair is in Brazil. Well, now I want to tell you some words about one project I mentioned before, the project we are running now for the Ministry of Health. In this project we have developed tools supporting the procedures of the public assistive technology service delivery system. Basically what we have done, and we are completing in this project, is that we have developed a system that makes possible for each company to describe, that makes possible for each company to describe every product in terms of components and prices and the prescription codes. Before our National Information Portal, in our National Information Portal, the price information was just a field where you can put the price. But this is not enough for companies, because the price can depend on configuration. You may have very complex products that have complex configuration. You have to describe all the configuration. So we have developed this system. This makes possible to have very complete product records in the database, and then you can generate the prescription file and the technical dossier. That means that the medical doctor that makes the prescription can do directly in the national portal, and this then initiates the procedure for the delivery of the products. We should tell you something also about the other study. And we have developed a an economical model for the pricing of custom-made assistive technology products. I just put the equation, and I'm not going to speak about this equation, but just to tell you that with this model, it's very easy when a company makes a proposal for making a product eligible for prescription. If all the data of cost of labor, of materials are written down in a standard worksheet we have developed following this formula, it's very easy for the National Health Service to make audits, maybe sample audits, and track if the proposed price really is supported by evidence and so is appropriate price. This is for custom-made assistive technology products. As far as the off-the-shelf assistive technology products are concerned, we have developed on our national information system an observatory of market prices. So if a local health authority makes a public procurement procedure for assistive technology, they can have an idea of what is the distribution of the prices, of the market prices of these products, and they can see what can be the relationship between a price and the level of quality of products. And then we have developed some quality control tools for the assistive technology products provided that helps the medical doctor when they check the client after a device has been provided if it corresponds to exactly what was prescribed and if the intended outcome and the quality has been achieved. One interesting part of this work was also to develop a kind of mechanism for pricing also the assessment consultation for assistive technology. Of course, this was not only an economic exercise. We had to define what means making an assessment consultation for a product, for a client. We have worked about 2 years on that by involving all assistive technology centers in Italy. We have come to a classification of consultations. For each of them, a protocol is defined, and now also a tariff is proposed. You can see on the right what are the level of reimbursement we are proposing in the study to the National Health Service. Is a reimbursement that should be intended to cover the costs of the consultation. Currently in Italy, this kind of assessment is not paid by anybody. So sometimes the client has to pay out of his or her own pocket, or sometimes are some institution offering that for free. Okay, now let's go on. We have, as I mentioned before, we have another project about disability and work sites. In this project, we have developed a methodology, basically, for redesigning the work sites for workers with disabilities. So the issue is that if we have a worker already working, a worker with a disability, and is carrying out working tasks in inadequate conditions, they may develop further disability, and that may progressively lead these people out of the work. So the idea was to develop methods to assess the potential risk of developing further disability and carry out adaptations to the work site in order to prevent this risk. This methodology was tried out with a sample of 16 workers with various disabilities, and their work sites were redesigned, and they are now working with the redesigned work site. Concerning the topic of assistive technology cost outcome, we have been working with outcome measures, but also with cost measures. In particular, we have developed a tool for estimating the costs of individual assistive technology interventions. This tool is called the SCI, which means SIVA Cost Analysis Instrument. And as you just have an idea on the slide, you can see that this tool allows to compare different solutions for the same problem. And for each of them, you can compare not only the purchase cost, but what is the overall social cost over a period of time, including maintenance, time spent by professional carers or family members to help the person, and so on. And this is very useful when you want to check what is the most efficient solutions in terms of using the use of resources and free resources for other clients. Let's go on. Now about development projects, we have, I mentioned it before, a project ACUBE. The project ACUBE has to do with the elderly living in nursing home. The issue is that in nursing homes sometimes the staff has difficulties in taking care of all the guests of the nursing home, and this system is intended to help by monitoring and preventing possible critical situation in such a way that the staff is alerted before the critical situation may happen. The idea is that a number of sensors are distributed in the nursing home. These are biomedical sensors, they are environmental sensors, video cameras, and so on. And by means of a quite intelligent algorithm, all the information from these sensors is processed, is associated to the clinical record, and there is some inference that a critical situation may happen, and the staff are alerted for that. We are about at the end of this project. We have developed also in our smart home a prototype. As you can see in this map, in this prototype, we are doing experiments where people are simulating some scenarios in that the system should be able to understand. These scenarios are now 4: the anomalous behavior, the fall, the escape, and health emergency. Let's go on. Another project I mentioned is the ETNA project. The objective is to enhance the ETNA portal using language technology. The ETNA with this technology will be multilingual, which means that everybody can search in his or her own native language, and multimodal, that in some languages will work also by speech input and output. So the project is an advanced development stage, and maybe at the mid of next year, these plugins will be on board on the ETNA system. You can see the ETNA and the ETNA CL crew all together, and there was one person missing, but with Photoshop I could integrate him. Then I mentioned also another project. The SRS is about the development of a robotic system for supporting independent living of elderly people at home. So the project is working at developing a multi-purpose, remotely controlled and semi-autonomous robotic device to support elderly people at home. The concept is this is not a completely intelligent robot, is a semi-intelligent robot, is a shadow robot that is operated by a parent or by a carer who is at a distance. For example, if the elderly has a problem at home, he or she can call, and the carer or the parents or the emergency call center can activate from a distance this robot and do tasks such as bringing things or doing some tasks that is needed at that time. So our role in this project is not to develop the technology. We have the best robotic companies in Europe doing that. Our role is to help define the application domain, which means in what kind of tasks will this robot be useful. The other is to define the user needs and the requirements and to validate the prototype. I think we are almost at the end of the list of projects, and I hope you have got an idea of what we are doing and maybe what kind of partnership we may have in other projects. You may have ideas for the future. I just conclude by thanking for your attention by all our team and to the whole ETNA crew. Okay, thank you for our attention, and now I think we can start the discussion. If you have any question, you raise your hand and wait for me.
Somebody is hearing me, but right. So my question was about your work in Easton with the multilinguality and multimodality. Have you at all been considering also to provide graphical symbol support in some way to support cognition and language in that way?
Thank you for
Did you get that, Renzo?
Yes, I do. Thank you for the question, Mats. Currently, the Easton CL project takes into account only spoken languages, and exactly German, Italian, English, Danish, and the Baltic languages. Is not considering now graphical languages. It's not part of the Easton CL project, because this is going to use language translation technologies that are developed for spoken languages. But the idea of having graphical interface could be another interesting project for the future.
Yes, at least a start would be to actually think about a good set of icons for the classification system, for example.
Okay.
And for the user roles, yeah.
Well, I think this will be really interesting matter for the ETNA project, because the final products of ETNA will be in Easton 2.0. So in the years we have to work with ETNA, we can also think to this graphical communication. Is there any other question? Otherwise, we go to the second speaker. Is there any other question? No, I think now I ask Evertian to take the lead, to be a presenter and give your speech.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me well? Yep. Okay. I'll just start, and I hope that everybody can hear me well. So good afternoon, colleagues and friends. I'm talking to you from the center of medieval Bologna, and to be more precise, from Corte Roncati, where the regional center for assistive technology of Emilia-Romagna is housed. But I'm also going to tell you a little bit more about the organization that joined ETNA and which operates that center, and that organization is called AIAS. I'll just give you a brief overview of what the organization is and what our services are. Then I will get a little bit deeper into the service delivery model in assistive technology. And finally, it was my aim to share some thoughts with you about some of the issues that came up in recent project work, mainly user-centered design and living lab methodologies. So AIAS is an association of people with disabilities, family members and carers, and that gives us a specific place in the world of assistive technology as being sort of representative for end users and end user needs. The organization has 50 years of history in Bologna and 30 years of experience in working with end users and assistive technology. So there has always been a big interest within this association to support autonomy and independence through assistive technology. At the moment, so I will focus now on only the work that we do in the field of assistive technology. We operate with our Auxilioteca AT team 3 resource centers that are actually all in the same building but have different names. So there are different tags on the door, different phones on the desks. And one is Emilia-Romagna's Regional Center for Assistive Technology, the other one is the Center for Technological Aids, and the third one is the Center for the Adaptation of the Home Environment. What is important is that these three centers that are all staffed by our team is that we support people of all ages in identifying appropriate technological solutions for autonomy and independence in all realms of life, and that we do that without commercial interests. Sorry. The timeline of the history says that we started in '82 with experimental activities in supporting some of our members, that it slowly turned into a regular service, and that since 2000 we are part of institutional service delivery system recognized by the regional government and funded through the regional government in the case of the Regional Center for Assistive Technology, by the National Health Service in the case of the AT Center, the CAT Center for Technological Aids, and by the City of Bologna in the case of the Center for the Adaptation of the Living Environment. And these three centers are brought together, as mentioned, in Corto Roncati in 2007. But beside operating those three services, we also do project work. We are involved in training activities and research projects, and that we do mainly under the AIAS organization. We actively take part in networking activities and project activities, mainly through our contacts in the AAATE organization, the EASPD, which is the European Association of Service Providers for People with Disabilities, ISAC, and at the national level through the already mentioned GLIC, Association of Independent AT Centers, which was mentioned by Renzo. In this building where we are now, where I'm talking to you from Corto Roncati, there are not only these AT resources which are grouped in the AT area, and you can see that there's also smart homes and training facilities, but there are also two specialized clinical centers with regional functions that are the Regional Center for Cognitive and Linguistic Disabilities and the Center for Infant Neuromotor Disabilities. These are not operated by AIAS staff, but work together with us and providing services for people coming from the whole region. And that is very important because it's an attempt to provide an integrated model of both clinical and social or AT-related services to people with disabilities and families all across from all across the region, and also from outside the region from other areas in Italy. It doesn't finish here. There are being part of this service delivery system. We try to be a resource as well for all those organizations in various ambits of life, like education, like health, like services, to be a resource center so that, again, we can coordinate and lead AT intervention that touches upon these various ambits of life of the people. Integrated services for our clients that are children, adults, elderly with motor disabilities or multi-disabilities, mainly in different areas, in different settings. And the main services are assessments in the center or on site, support and training, loaning of AT devices, and of course general information providing. And there's a specific service path for rapid evolving pathologies in case people very rapidly need technology, or whether they need a very intense process of support and monitoring of the development of their technology needs. For professionals in institutions, we do training and education, advice and guidance on technological and methodological issues, and policy development. So when we talk about supporting people in designing or supporting people and their local teams, their professional teams in designing AT solutions, we do not only refer to, giving a person a device, but we reflect on a wide range of devices, development paths, strategies, practices, and procedures that are put in place to support people. Now, that requires considering various dimensions, which are not only related to health aspects. Of course, the person with his needs and wishes is always in the center of this model, but it also involves assessment of the social environment, educational aspects, to consider the social and political and administrative context, the built environment, and the availability of other existing technologies. To be able to address these issues, we believe that a multidisciplinary teamwork is required, that there's full participation of the person, the client, and his local team, that we work on the development of a shared language between the actors that participate in this process, and that it is a holistic approach. So more than just providing solutions, we are supporting people over time in shaping their life projects and the role that technology can have in this. And these features are interesting prerequisites as well for user-centered design, what I want to talk about you later. So we have a multidisciplinary team of 22 people that have various professional backgrounds in education, in technology, health-related professions, building and administrative issues, and we address different areas of AT. The service delivery guiding principles are, of course, that the person is very central in this approach, that we focus on various aspects of life, not only the one which is specifically needed in that moment. There's an open referral policy and free access, which means that the services are for free and people can always come back. That the advice is independent, so there's no commercial interest. We work, of course, we have good relationships with the industry and with the AT companies that provide the technology, but our advice is independent from them. There's a long-term commitment, so people can always come back, and we tend to collaborate as much as possible with people inside and outside Corto Roncati that can follow up and make sure that the person is properly supported over time. So actually you can summarize it in these three key terms. We try to support people in make informed choices from an holistic approach, and we support them over time as the needs might change. These are some pictures of the showroom. So it's a hand-on approach. People can come and also test the various devices, touch them, and take them home for a while if that's possible. Some more pictures of training activities. This is an example. This is more the service delivery model of a home and daily living assessment. So there will be a first contact, a request, the analysis of the request. We will decide a service flow, data will be collected, and then we tend to involve all the stakeholders, all the relevant experts that need to be there on the day of the assessment. We'll discuss and identify the expectations and needs of the clients, and analyze together the lifestyle, the living environment, and then start with advice on technological solutions, eventually adaptations or changing strategies in the domestic environment. Advice on legislation and funding opportunities, and of course the process also has the opportunity to visit the showroom and the smart homes. And then documentation is produced, so people will always go home with a report of what happened during their day, and where they eventually refer to other services if necessary, and so on. I'll speed up a little bit. These are our numbers. 2010 we supported in this way, so with a full assessment, with a multidisciplinary team, 274 end users, and 2,117 professionals that called in the center services for advice on their clients, and more than 2,000 participants in our training activities. Some slides on the project work. Here you can find some concluded project, the Bridge project, which produced awareness raising materials for policymakers. The Keeping Pace with Assistive Technology project, which was on lifelong learning in assistive technology, and the Nadia project, which developed satellite navigation technologies applied to individual mobility of people with motor and sensorial disabilities. And there are many other European national and local projects, but I wanted to focus on two that are actually active and which we are working on at the moment. One is called Impact, which is a network project. And what is interesting of this network project, which is by the way coordinated by the EASPD, which is that association of European Association of Service Providers in the field of disability, is that we are both working on training needs and on the development of an ethical code for assistive technology service provision, which will be presented in the 7th and the 10th, the 9th and the 10th of November in Brussels, in the final conference of the Impact project. In the meantime, there's another seminar coming up for those of you that are near to Wales or that are interested in the person-centered technology in the workplace. It's in Cardiff, the 22nd of June. The TOBY project is a large integrated research project funded under the 7th framework, which aims at developing practical applications for brain-computer interaction for people with disabilities, and we are the leader of the user evaluation work package. It is our role to contribute to the definition of needs and requirements, as well as to the evaluation. And this made us reflect a lot on user-centered design. The conceptual framework that we apply for user-centered design in TOBY is to see user-centered design as a major requirement for success in ICT and AT system development. This is not because we believe it, but because it's an outcome of the Standish Group Chaos report. We refer to the ISO standard on human-centered design processes for interactive systems. We got particularly inspired by Living Labs methodologies for open innovation. There's the web link on the slide. It is an approach to develop and evaluate products together with end users. And what is important, that the end users are involved in every stage of the design process. So they are more or less on a permanent base participating in the project, and not only on just the testing when the prototypes come up, but their point of view is incorporated in different stages. And we use methods and tools that are classified or described under usabilitynet.org, which we found very useful, beside all the user-centered evaluation metrics. The problems here are that there are various actors involved in user-centered design. So, of course, the end users, people with temporary or permanent disabilities, but also professional users, such as AT experts, rehabilitation doctors and carers, and family members. And the challenge is to get all their viewpoints continuously slided into the project or the technology development cycle, which can be difficult in the case of people with severe disabilities, which are an important target group for BCI applications. So we decided to explore the use of domain experts. Domain experts are, you can see that very well on the following slides, can have various roles in such projects. For example, they can be researchers themselves. They could intermediate between the researchers and the end user, or they can sort of act as representative of the end users. This is a model we got from Alan. Actually, within TOBY, we are trying to give shape to a fourth model that sees the domain experts. So in this case, the AT professionals, so AT advisors, as part of the team that interacts with the researchers. So AT experts and target users collaborate in the product development cycle. And we found this, for example, reflected as well in the matching person and technology methodology from Marsha Shearer, who we are in contact with about the implementation of this in this particular project. The Living Lab features different stakeholders working together for innovation. What is important as well is that you work in real-life testing environments, and that people are involved on a permanent base in the project. So that is actually something, those features that we also found back in our service delivery model, which is very much based on a continuous collaboration of end users with professional teams. So that leads to some conclusions on user-centered design and assistive technology centers, that an AT center as ours seems to be an appropriate setting resource for the implementation of user-centered design processes that we can benefit from and contribute to the understanding and further development of user-centered design principles. That professional working in AT centers actually can be either considered professional users of these new technologies that are under development, or domain experts near to the potential end users of the BCI application, in this case BCI, but it could be any new technology. And that research activities and service delivery could very well coexist, because they create the conditions for permanent living labs, where not only new technologies could be tested, but also where new needs could be assessed, and research could be directed into the direction where it is most needed. And it's not so easy. It requires a continuous work with end users, and also training them and empowering them in providing highly qualified feedback, which is of course based on their own experience, but also on the tools that we can give them. So it is important, because it means that more and more people with disabilities will become experts in assistive technology in the long term. That is actually what I had to say, what I prepared for today. I'm here to respond to your questions.
Thank you very much, Evertian. Now it's time for questions. I see that your presentation has been appreciated by many colleagues because they clapped the hands. I have one question. When you mentioned it before about your activity with the end users, the question is, are you able then to follow up the solutions actually implemented for them, and to measure the outcome, and maybe to use the information on the outcome for a better evaluation of the technology provided?
Yeah, that's a good question. Of course, that's an ongoing concern. I mean, to get those numbers supporting hundreds of people a year and all those, it is not always so easy to, and especially if with those those indicators of tariffs for this sort of task that you presented in your presentation, to do a good follow-up. I'll just go back to the slide that I skipped, because but it is an important one, because it is we are involved at the moment in an attempt together with the University of Maastricht to model this into something which is more scientifically underpinned. And as you can see, for example, this is a slide on the CAT service delivery model for children. So ICT AT needs, ICT AT technologies for children with disabilities. It normally there will be sort of an environment where people start to ask questions about, but maybe the technology can help, or maybe the technology can be of importance for this child. And then they will call into the CAT center for an assessment. What we normally try to do then is to involve, of course, the user, but also the parents and the team which is responsible for the individualized educational program. So this could be territorial services, but also special needs teachers and so on, and other professionals to come together on the day. Of course, we already know a lot about information then about the child. We will try to set goals. The child's functions and interaction potential will be assessed, and then specific solutions proposed. Also taking into account the contextual resources that are available. I mean, are there people that can support the child, that can give some follow-up and so on. It might be necessary to do some training once the technology is in place, and then there's a process that we can still follow very well, and which is at least in the Bologna area, which is supporting the implementation and do the monitoring, because of course the outcomes can only be evaluated on the longer terms. What is difficult then is to create this link between the outcome evaluation and, for example, the team who is responsible for the individual educational program, because that's also the reason why it's so important that they are present right from the start in this process, because we do not want to work separate, but we want to work in full coordination with the other professionals that work with the child. Step 4, the follow-up done by ourselves, is at this moment not in place. It's critical. We want to work on this, and that's also one of the strategic aims of the organization. At this stage, it's normally the context, so the PEI team, which after a while says, okay, the solution is not working any longer, or maybe there's something else, and then the process starts all over again. It is not something that we are doing at the moment systematically, but which probably we want to do as well. But okay, this requires additional resources and which at the moment we don't have. I don't know if that responds a little bit to your question.
Yes, thank you. And now, if there is anybody else putting questions, please raise your hands. Okay, it seems there is no other questions. In that case, I think we can close our webinar. Thank you very much to Evertian. Thank you very much to all the participants. We are still in our experimental stage of our webinars, and we have to learn a lot how to improve, but it's a matter of becoming familiar. I think it worked quite well. We had not so many problems today, and the information provided